If you feel like alone, if you feel lost, if you feel like, I just want to give up, you're not alone. There's somebody out there going through it. I went through it. I didn't know right from left. I didn't know what I was doing. I was so nervous. I was so in my mind. The addiction was terrifying. It was crippling. The best advice I can give anyone is just show up. Do it for you. You are worth it. And whatever that is for you, it doesn't have to be yoga. And also yoga does not have to be spiritual. It can just be a practice for you, but push through the discomfort, because on the other side of it, on the other side of that rainbow, there's something so much bigger in your life. Just don't give up.
Welcome to the Pure Wellness Podcast, where we talk about what it takes to live a holistic lifestyle by making conscious, healthier choices. Our hope is that these discussions will inspire you to strengthen your daily practice to improve overall physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being. Pure Wellness Podcast provides information solely for educational purposes and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I'm your host, Johanna Altman, founder of One Body Medicine, avid health enthusiast, and mother of 3. Join me and industry professionals as we explore human potential in the pursuit of pure wellness. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a very special guest. Her name is Andrea Jarquin, and I'm very excited to be talking about yoga, which is very popular in a lot of people's spirituality and kind of journey into learning more about themselves and life and connection. So for those of us who don't know you, Andrea, would you mind telling us a little bit more about yourself?
My name is Andrea Jarquin. I have been a yoga teacher for 7 years now. There's definitely much more to me than just yoga, but I also have my part-time jobs. But right now, I am teaching part-time as well. I've been teaching for local studios. I also teach private yoga. So that's where I'm at right now in my life.
Okay, great. So my first question is going to be, how did you start your yoga journey? What led you to this path that you're on and that you're continuing?
Yes. It's I'll try not to cry. It's still
cry.
Right? Crying's good for you.
Yes, crying's good for us.
It's such what I love about yoga is that everybody has their own journey. That's part of the story, right, for everyone. But for me, prior to yoga, I probably only really ever ran as an activity. That's all I would really do. When I first started yoga, the thought came in, it was, to be honest with you, with my higher power. I've always been, I've had a very strong connection with God. I think at this point it was like Albert Einstein says, doing the exact same thing, expecting different results. And then that's the insanity. And that's in the space that I was in. I was a little bit overweight. I felt really bad about myself. I made a lot of decisions in my life that I was not proud of. And I was actively, using substances, hardcore things. And I was in the wheel of insanity. I was crippled with anxiety. I had a lot of self-doubt. I was I felt really lost. And, I would pray. And I'm like, God, give me something to hold on to, because I can't live this life anymore. And long and behold, one of my friends told me, hey, have you been to a hot yoga studio? And I'm like, what is yoga? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's just go. Like, you're like moving and breathing. And I'm like, moving and breathing hot, but in a really hot room. And I'm like, hot room? I was like, okay, well, I mean, like, everything. I've tried everything else, which is the substances, right? Why not try something different? Because I keep doing the same thing. The funny part, well, it's not funny, but before I went to an actual class, like the day before, I had went out. So I was not feeling good at all. It was probably worse than a hangover. Not alcohol, but other things. Mm-hmm. But I said, I'm just going to go to this class, and I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I ended up going to a yoga sculpt class, which is pretty intense for somebody who's never, ever done yoga.
So talk to me about yoga sculpt.
Yes.
And what that entails.
Yes. So where I got certified, because that's what I teach now, we flow with weights. So that can be 3s and 5s, 5s and 8s.
Oh,
yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah. So it's strength training. It's high intensity flowing with your weights. We demo how to flow with your weights, bicep curl, lunges, cardio, squats. I mean, all of it in like 60 minutes, high intensity music. The heat, I believe, is at like 85.
I would pass out.
It is a lot. So I decided to go to that for my first class, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
So,
you just heard yoga and
I'm like,
you're like, I'm in.
I was desperate. So I'm like, I'm just going to try something because I feel like I'm going to lose myself, like, you know. So I went to the class, and I'm going to tell you, for anyone who is in doubt of doing yoga, I was that person that walked in and was terrified. Not only was I terrified of what I was getting into, but also what people were thinking about me, even though no one cares. It's just your ego. Yeah. Walking in, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like people are staring at me. I don't feel good. And of course, when you're using substances, you're more paranoid and you're coming off things as well. And I came into the class and we started, inhale, exhale. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Inhale, my arms up, exhale down. I didn't know linking breath to movement. So I wasn't linking my breath to my movement. I was just not breathing, but I was moving. So it was extremely hard. And I didn't know right from left. I didn't know what I was doing. I felt ridiculous. I'm gonna be honest with you. But when I was doing it, I was looking at the front row and I see like what I want to call them. Like they were like yoga ninjas. They were just so fluid. They were flowing like, oh my God, like they were just so in sync. And I got so inspired by that because I'm like, well, you know what? Like I'm sure they started somewhere, right? They weren't always this amazing. So like, what do I have to lose? Right. So that was the experience for, I want to say 3 months. And there, through the 3 months, I saw this specific girl. She caught my eye and she was so beautiful. Just the way that her practice was so beautiful. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start putting my mat next to hers and I'm going to look crazy, but like she inspires me. So I want to do like what she's doing. Yeah. I don't know. I just found it inspirational. So I did. And I don't think she ever noticed me, but I noticed her and she was such an inspiration to me. I don't even know her name, but while I did it just months passed and I started to feel something where I was like, there's something here. Now I'm holding on to something. I feel more connected to God than I ever have been. And I said, you know what? I feel like I'm honoring my body more. I'm more mindful now. Like, do I really want to do this? Do I want to continue using as I'm doing this? Because it was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah. And through that, just continuously being consistent. I want to say for like 2 years straight, every day going to a class.
Every day?
Yes, I was obsessed. Like
so 7 days, no days off.
I was obsessed. Yes, I know it sounds insane, but like anyone who knew me at the studio, amazing. I was always, and then I would meet the teachers, and I was like, oh my God, she's so amazing. He's so amazing. So I was just so in awe of this because I had never moved my body like this before. And in the process, I said, you know what? Like I want to help other people. Like remove like what people think about you, like just to help others. Like there has to be somebody else that is maybe suffering. Maybe it's not addiction. Maybe it's just anxiety. Maybe it's abuse that they've gone through. You know, I've gone through several different things in my life. So I said, I'm going to do this. But when I did it, I was like, I didn't realize how my social anxiety was going to be a huge mountain to climb over. Doing that. And in the process, I said, you know what, like, I'm going to be nervous. I don't know if I even sound right. I think what would happen is that I would get in such intense anxiety that I would black out. Like when I was practicing in front of people, I don't really remember. And I think that when your body goes into a high state of anxiety, you go into like flight or fight.
Oh, for sure.
And you're just like there, but you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
So you weren't present.
No.
You were going through the motions because you had already done this for 2 years. And that's an example of what I've learned, the body becoming the mind, because now it's learned a set of routine and movements, but you weren't present. You weren't connecting your mind to your body. Not yet. Okay.
So when that happened and then I got certified, then I was like, okay, now I need to find out who am I as a teacher? Like, what do I want to do with this? I started teaching pretty early on. I just made sure that through all the process, like I just continued my practice. I would practice in my room. I would practice at the park. I would still practice at the yoga studios. And finally, when I started teaching, I started to feel more present in my mind, my body, my spirit, less feeling about what are they thinking about me, more now I need to sit into the seat of the teacher, right? And that's where I started to feel like, okay, like it's okay to not be perfect at yoga. It's okay that it doesn't look like the person next to you. I want to teach others and students to know that there are modifications, and it is okay to come with doubt, and it is okay.
And I've used those modifications because I don't move like that girl that inspired you. I'm going to tell you right now.
No, but there's also this stigma that as a yoga teacher, you have to know the splits. You have to do handstands. Like I still can't get into the split 7 years later. I can do a half splits, but I do believe that, our bodies need to heal from certain things. There's this saying that our hips hold trauma. Our entire body holds trauma. Your entire body holds emotion, even your big toe. Mm-hmm. Like everything holds emotion. Mm-hmm. So a lot of us have to heal these parts of ourselves, and that's the yoga journey, to be able to maybe get into these poses, right? To be able to achieve, a handstand or handstand, because it's all about the mind, right? And our bodies also hold emotion. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm not able to get into these full splits, right? But yeah, so now I just really want my students to feel safe, to feel seen, and just to come as they are, right? And it's okay to have doubt, and it's okay that your practice doesn't look perfect, and it's okay if one day you can get into a pose and the next day you can't, because that's life. And that's the humbling part of yoga, is just accepting your body where it is.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned something that I really want to touch upon, which is the social anxiety and having to sit in that discomfort as you were getting certified and putting yourself in a position where people were criticizing you, or not in a way to shame you, but just so that you could better.
They call it feedback.
Oh, I like that. I think that's a politically correct way of saying it. Feedback. But I like, can you go deeper into how you felt having to overcome that social anxiety and being more present and utilizing the mind-body connection? Because I think that is something that's really important, especially with anxiety, depression being more prevalent with this generation. So give us an example of working through that and how you felt.
Speaking for myself, when I was in my anxiety, I always prayed. You can call it manifesting if you want. You could even call it journaling. But I would have full conversations with God. And I would say, please help me. Like, please, I want to go into this class and not be shaking and not be scared. I just want to give the message. I want to help others, right? I also put that along with journaling. And I just kept showing up. So the thing is that although you are uncomfortable and you want to throw up and you want to just scream and hide in a corner, for me, I had to show up. I had to push through the discomfort in order to have that breakthrough. And I did it. I can't tell you how long it took me until one day I just had the breakthrough, because this is the thing. You're going to have so many different yoga teachers, so many different styles, and you're going to have your people that look for you and that like you. But you're going to also have people that don't like you. Mm-hmm. And that, something that I had to learn is, whether it is yoga, whether it is any job you have, they're going to have those people that are hurting and they're not very kind to you. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of unkind people, but I want to say that they were hurting, because no one is just unkind for no reason.
Of course.
And they would tell me some really mean things after teaching. Even during class, there would be some women that would start yawning over and over and over, so loud when I'm barely starting the class. And that's like heartbreaking, because you feel like, you're like, wow, am I boring? Like, what, am I doing something wrong? Like, but that kept happening until I said, no, you're not going to stop me. I'm going to keep coming here, and I'm going to find my people. And I'm going to just, because as you start teaching, you start to find the seat of the teacher. That doesn't happen until much later, at least not for me. But you start to the more you keep doing it, the more you're like, you know what? I don't care what anyone thinks. It just starts to fall off you. So the only thing I can tell you that I did for myself was I kept showing up, even through the discomfort, because we don't grow through being comfortable. It's just not how it is. And I do feel like things that you can do in these moments to cope is to have maybe a therapist, right? Mm-hmm. I believe in therapy. Maybe it's a good friend in your life. Maybe it's your mother, your father, whoever you can trust that you can share this with. Journaling, sitting down for a moment and meditating. That even now is very hard for me. Mm-hmm. You can teach yoga, but I'm moving all the time. But to sit down with yourself and to just let these thoughts flow, that's a challenge. But if you can even do it for like 2 minutes, maybe a minute, maybe like it starts to progress, you'll notice that you'll have more control over these emotions, over these racing thoughts and these doubts. And that's also something I teach in class, because I say, come as you are, notice the racing thoughts. It's neither good or bad. Just accept.
Thoughts are like the waves in the ocean. They come and go.
They do.
And you're going to be fine at the end of all of that.
You just have to be okay with whatever it is. Just be still in this moment.
Yeah.
So that's the best advice I can give.
That's wonderful advice. You touched upon something, maybe it's a misconception. When I've experienced yoga myself, and I love it, and we were talking about this before, I need to get back into it for sure. And some of the things I hear people say is, I don't know how to meditate. I'm not flexible. I have to look a certain way. What if I can't do it? I don't fit the profile of a yogi. And you had mentioned connecting breath and meditation and being able to sit still. There are multiple types of yoga. So the type of yoga that you're practicing, because you mentioned not being able to sit still so much in your practice, is hot yoga or sculpted yoga you had mentioned?
Yeah, so I teach different formats. Okay. I can tell you the 3 that I do teach. Okay. Yoga sculpt, power yoga, and restorative. Okay. So they work in my life interchangeably. Okay. Yoga sculpt empowers me. It is more strength and mindfulness. It is when I'm having a really hard day and I just need to be like, just leave it all on the mat, right? Okay. I want a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Power yoga, I tap into my inner child. Power yoga, there's a lot of teachers that teach very differently, especially now there's not one way to do something. But power yoga usually is a flow leading up to an inversion. So an inversion can be crow pose. It can be a tripod headstand. It can be a chin stand. It can be something outside of yourself, very playful like. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I fell on my face so many times. Like there's not. Okay. In order for me to get into these poses, I've had to practice over and over again. Mm-hmm. But that's the fun part. The fun part is just being playful
and
just
pushing yourself to do something
outside of yourself
that's not.
That normal. You're not comfortable with. Okay. Yes. But again, there's other ways, like through a pose, it doesn't have to look like the actual pose. There's always like levels to where maybe you can't get into full crow. There's another way to get into that until you work your way up to that. So that's power yoga. It's dynamic. It's fun. It's also, it constantly changes. So you don't know what you're getting into. A lot of the teachers teach it where you're like, what am I getting into next? And I love the unknown. And then now restorative yoga, that's where I tap into my soft side. That's where I have to say, okay, now you have to be still, feel, integrate, slow down. I need these 3 in my life to remind me, because it's like I'm going up and down, like the ebbs and flows. Yeah. Which is what yoga is, which is what life is, right? But yeah, there's so many different sequences, so many different classes, formats, but these all give me balance in my life, right? And that's another misconception about yoga as well, that you need to like have balance. You need to have flexibility. That's not,
exactly.
I'm like, what?
So I'm walking into a studio. What am I expecting? I've never done yoga. I don't fit the profile. I have all these misconceptions. What can I expect? And I'm sitting in the back because I don't want anyone to see me. What can I expect?
I can only speak from my personal experience. And what I can tell you is that when it's your first time and you walk in, it is uncomfortable. You're walking into something that you have no idea what you're getting into. It's the unknown. And again, it's just being okay with the unknown, accepting, okay, I feel uncomfortable. I may have a wonderful teacher that I like, and I may have a teacher that I don't agree with, but just keep coming back. There's so many teachers. There are so many studios. I don't recommend everyone to do hot yoga. Mm-hmm. I started off with hot yoga, so I do like the heat, but I do feel like too much heat is not good for the body either. There needs to be balance. So I just feel like, you're gonna see some things that you've probably never seen before. You may see somebody, doing a pose that is not even what the teacher is saying, like completely doing their own thing, but just focus on yourself, focus on your practice. The ego is not a bad thing, right? It's there to help us, but just kind of set it aside and say like, no one really is looking at me. No one really cares. It's just me overthinking things. But I feel like that's what you can expect, like just the unknown. Again, every teacher is different. So you can walk into something that you may be like, what did I sign up for? I don't know, but just keep coming back. Because the beautiful part about yoga, and this is something that I learned, I was able to break my addiction. I've been sober now. I'm in a way happier state. I do give everything to God first, but he put this in my life as a tool.
Correct.
Right? He put that as a tool. But what yoga does is that it creates new neural pathways in the brain that essentially, like, you're rewiring your mind and body as you practice yoga. So it's all about just being consistent. Just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming.
Show up.
Show up.
So the way that I right now am working out, and why I know I need to incorporate yoga is I'm finding myself as I get older, I'm not as flexible. I'm not stretching as much. And when I think physical fitness, I think I need to go to the gym. I need to run for 30 minutes, lift heavy weights. That's how I'm going to be at my optimal. And as I'm getting older, practicing traditional exercises, I'm noticing my body's stiff, my body's tight. How can I incorporate yoga into a traditional workout routine where I can maintain flexibility? And why are my muscles and my body over time feeling more tense?
As we age, our bodies change.
I know that.
Yeah, we're not as flexible. But I have never really been 100% flexible. With yoga, I become more mobile, which is what I love. And what I can honestly tell you is, and I also think, I also have read that the older we get, we don't really need to do high intensity things. Focusing on weight training is really good. It doesn't have to be, things don't have to be so intense. I really do feel like everybody has their own regimen, their own practice on what they do. For me, I always stretch before I run and I stretch after. I can incorporate a restorative before I do that and after. I do think it's, for you, if you're speaking about yourself, I feel like a restorative yoga would be really wonderful for you.
Now, what's restorative yoga? Because I have had a few yoga classes and I've loved every one of them. I don't know what type of yoga is best for me. So that might be something that I would look into.
Yes. So again, different classes, different teachers teach differently. But with the restorative that I teach, we have bolsters. They're props that you can use. A bolster is like a nice little pillow that you can place behind your neck, your spine, under your calves. You can place it wherever you like through your practice. We also have straps that sometimes we incorporate. I like to do hip flossing, right? So that's more mobility. I like to look into mobility stretching, incorporating that into my restore because I am a runner. So I notice that my body will tense up, and a lot of athletes come to restore where we're like, I lift weights and I just feel so tight.
Yeah, that's me.
And I'm like, okay, I've done some research, and I'm like, how can I incorporate that into restore? I like to do a nice little restore flow, kind of open the body up. And then towards the end, focus more on holding longer poses, right? So we're opening everything up and now we're sitting with ourselves. So it can be like a minute or 2 minute holds. And, I always like to remind the students, like, when you're sitting with yourself, it's not always comfortable. You're sitting with yourself.
Well, everything you've talked about is uncomfortable.
100%.
So if there's a message I'm getting here, it's be comfortable in the uncomfortable and unknown.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. Yes.
Because I don't think you've said anything was comfortable, which is a great life lesson. We all have to strengthen that, understanding and the resilience in being able to do that.
Yes.
Right? I think this is what I'm missing for sure, because I've noticed that my body is telling me I need something different. And I have not thought of yoga as having a mobility, or that there was a mobility class for that. When I think yoga, I think hot yoga or Bikram yoga. And that doesn't resonate with me.
It does, that there's, like I said, there's so many different styles, and a lot of the teachers, they'll always add their little flavor to it. For me, restore is just me saying, okay, I want to add some more mobility stretching. I want to focus more on this other, because that's something I also want to get into as well. But just incorporating the restore with the yoga and the mobility, I feel like it's really wonderful. I've had really great feedback. And I just always remind others, just just keep coming back. At first, when you keep doing it, you're going to feel like tense in your lower back. You may feel like, oh my God, I just feel like I had this student, he said, this is really humbling. Like I'm a lifter, but like, this is something else like this. And I'm like, just keep coming back. And he's like, yeah, no, I really love it. Like it really helps me like ground. And I feel like, more open. And I'm like, yeah, like that's the idea. Just keep coming back.
It's a different type of strength.
It is. But it is humbling for sure.
It's inner strength.
Yes.
I've seen people do yoga that look normal. They don't look like athletes at all, doing things that require so much more strength.
Yes.
Than, like you said, an athlete coming in there that looks like they could do 100 times more.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to look into that.
Yes.
So what are some of the signs that you've noticed when your body and your mind are disconnected?
For me, the number one thing I notice, I neglect myself in the sense of I think too much where I'll forget to eat.
Oh?
Yeah. I overthink way too much and I'm like, okay, I haven't ate. Or my brain gets foggy. I'm like, well, what was I doing? Like I lose my train of thought. I have a short fuse. Everything bothers me. I'm irritable. Mm-hmm. So all these things are signs for me that I'm like, okay, you have to get on your mat. Like just it doesn't have to be anything intense. Just start grounding yourself with your breath. Cause I feel like a lot of us throughout the day, we're just tense and we're not really breathing, from the diaphragm, from the inside.
We're not paying attention.
We're not paying attention to our bodies at all. It's a normal human instinct to just be like survival. So even now, 7 years later, I still have to check in with myself. But what really truly helps me is praying. I do that on my mat as well. And I also, stretch and then wait and then journal and get back to, doing yoga. So everybody has their system, but that's what grounds me.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, for those that are spiritual, just reminding themselves of being grateful and connecting to gratitude is the frequency and emotion that kind of connects us to everything.
Yes, gratitude.
Yes.
That is so true.
And when you're talking about, I want you just to talk a little bit more about taking time out of your day to get back to your breath.
It's not necessarily having to be on your mat to do this. You can even do it in your car, right? There's so many different breath works. For me, I like to breathe in 4 times, hold, exhale 4 times out. And you can seriously do that in your car. Mm-hmm. Just and like continuing that repetitively over and over will literally clear your mind. There are so many. That's it. There's you have to keep consistent with it. It's hard though. It's hard when you're like, I'm so stressed out. I don't want to breathe right now.
That's the last thing that you think is going to help you.
But you have to set that. It has to be a priority to you. It has to be. I don't know how else to say it. Like when you feel like everything else is crumbling around you, you just have to set the time apart to say, okay, I'm just going to breathe. I'm just going to breathe. Like feel my fingertips. Feel my thighs, feel my feet, feel my skull. Like just feel yourself, be present.
Be alive.
Be alive. As uncomfortable as that is, and you will feel instantly like you're more grounded and you're like, okay, I can do this. It happens to me even now. So yoga is a great place to link breath to movement, and a lot of us don't have time for that. We're busy, right? We're mothers. We have so many different jobs just to survive in LA. So it's like I don't have time to breathe. Like, but you have to make time. Yeah. Fill your cup.
And it's that self-care.
Self-care,
you can
fill your
start.
cup.
We can start by doing breath work and then work our way to doing 7 days a week of yoga.
Oh no, but that's the thing. It doesn't have to look like that for everyone. I feel like at first I was obsessed. I let go of something and put it somewhere else. But I also learned the hard way where you can't do that. Your body will tap out. I had to learn balance. And that's what yoga taught me, balance on my mat and outside the mat. 7 years, I've had that journey. I think now I have a really great balance where I don't do that much yoga and I'm very happy.
How many times do you do yoga?
So I do a week, 3 times a week. Okay. So I teach in the studio, my 2 classes. I demo and I teach. I find it inspiring to do it with them. It's fun. So that's my workout that day. And then I also go to studios locally and I'll just go incognito. Like I'm just like, I just want to learn from the teacher. It's amazing.
So you still going to different studios to learn.
I love it. And you don't even know. I have so many teachers that I'm like, they're so amazing. Like I still learn from them. I do that every week. If I don't do that, I go to the Rose Bowl here in Pasadena. I love the Rose Bowl. You can run, you can do yoga on the field. I do that.
That sounds amazing.
I love it because, like I said, the hot rooms are great, but there is points that when I do too much, I feel literally depleted. Like there's only so much electrolytes I can take where I'm like, okay, no, stop. Like you have to just use nature, Mother Earth, go to the Rose Bowl and use the sun. And it's so nice, or in my room.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I do that. I also go to the gym. I've been wanting to learn more about lifting, about weight training.
Well, I'll teach you about that.
I would love that.
Teach
Yes.
me about restore yoga.
That'd be great.
That's amazing.
I love learning. So I'm like, okay, I've also thought about getting certified as a personal trainer.
Oh, good.
I would love to have that under my belt. It's such a, just looking at the body types, how hard they work. I'm just looking at the work that goes behind that I find that so inspiring. And even there at the gym, I'm that girl that's like pulling my mat and doing yoga in the corner. And they're like, what is she doing? But it's okay. I don't care. It's fun. So I'm very active. If I'm not doing yoga, I'm running. I've had to learn too, not to push myself too much with running. Cause sometimes I'll have that racing thought and I'm like running for my life. And it's like, what are you running from? Relax. Just jog.
Yeah. But see, that mindfulness has come from your practice.
Yes.
With yoga.
Yes. But I'm still very much going through those motions.
Yeah. I feel like that's most of us. And in talking with you, I feel a big lesson that I've learned is really just to keep embracing being uncomfortable.
Yes. I'm still learning that.
I'm
still embracing that.
I think we'll have to learn that and just expect that because that's how life is. Right. And to just show up. I'm the typical, yoga student who went a few times and gave up. I didn't know how to navigate all the different types of yoga. So because of this, I will go back. I'm going to try to find, what suits me. But I think restore might be something that I'd like to incorporate.
There's so many different, there's yin yoga. There's yin yoga with sound bowls. There's endless possibilities. You just have to find that class that resonates with you in your life, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't have anything else to ask. I've learned so much about you, your practice, and it's very inspiring. Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
I just wanna let others know, if you feel like alone, if you feel lost, if you feel like, I just want to give up, you're not alone. There's somebody out there going through it. I went through it. I really use my story as a testimony so I can help others. I didn't know right from left. I didn't know what I was doing. I was so nervous. I was so in my mind. The addiction was terrifying. It was crippling. But the best advice I can give anyone is just show up. Do it for you. You are worth it. And whatever that is for you, it doesn't have to be yoga. And also yoga does not have to be spiritual. It can just be a practice for you, whatever it is to you, but push through the discomfort because on the other side of it, on the other side of that rainbow, there's something so much bigger in your life. Just don't give up.
Yeah, there's light.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, that's right.
Amen.
Oh, that's amazing. I like that message a lot. And it's very inspiring, your story. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So honored. Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored and brought to you by One Body Medicine. You can learn more by visiting onebodymedicine.com. That's the number 1, bodymedicine.com. You can also follow the show on social media under the handle Pure Wellness Pod. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.